At 11:41 on the morning of the 7th of December last year, the Soviet Republic of Armenia was hit by a massive earthquake. Official figures say 25,000 people died. Armenians say the death toll was at least double. Located between the Black and Caspian Seas, Armenia, with a population of just 4 million, is a similar-sized nation to Wales. The shockwaves were concentrated in the north of Armenia. The towns of Spitak and Leninakan were devastated, along with nearly 100 villages. Once the enormity of that devastation filtered out of Armenia, Western aid was mobilized in the true spirit of glasnost, or openness. But while most people were understandably thinking of food and clothing and medicines, Welshman Paul Smith and his wife Jane began to think of the children of Armenia. Thousands had seen their homes and families literally wiped out. So Paul, manager of British Gas Wales Neath showroom, began an appeal, Toys for Armenia.
We're hoping that it will give them something to look forward to, and it'll also act as a therapy, something to hold, to cuddle, and make them feel wanted, something for them to love.
After the appeal was featured on Wales at 6, toys rolled into gas showrooms all over Wales. Enough toys to fill 2 juggernauts. The Toys for Armenia left Britain on St David's Day. And they arrived in Armenia 2 weeks later. Under the watchful gaze of Lenin, the Mediterranean-type lifestyle continues in Yerevan, capital of Armenia. Although only 100 miles from the disaster area, the city was untouched by the earthquake. Among those enjoying the late evening sunshine were Paul and Jane Smith, who travelled the 3,000 miles to oversee the distribution of Welsh toys for Armenia. After arriving in Yerevan, the Welsh toys had been released into the care of the League of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and Aid Armenia. Now their journey was almost complete. New and old toys, unwanted Christmas presents, they were all put onto the minibus for the final stage of a long trek from Wales to Armenia. Meanwhile, Armenian adults queued up to write their thanks to Wales for the great toy shipment.
And Armenians, they wanted to thank friends from Great Britain who are thinking about them sending toys, especially who are thinking about their children.
Within hours, the Welsh toys would be in the arms of Armenian children in the heart of the disaster zone. Just a 100-mile road journey remained. And tomorrow night on Wales at 6, we see the joy those toys brought to the children of Armenia. Was as enthusiastic as anywhere. But the blank expressions from some of the orphans here told their own story. Today, though, they can forget for a while the horrors of yesterday. As you can see behind me, the devastation here is total. It's as if 1,000 Aberfans were visited on a nation with only a slightly larger population than Wales. Before the earthquake, the mountain village of Shirakamut had a population of 4,000. More than half, or over 2,000, were killed in the disaster. Guided by the International Red Cross, Jane and Paul decided to hand out some of the Welsh toys here. And even in a shattered village, good news still travels quickly. Does he think it's a Russian rocket or an American rocket?
American one.
He thinks it's an American one, yes. Should I ask him which he thinks are the best, Russian or American rockets?
Իսկ ո՞րն ամենալավ։ Սովետական ռակետներին լավ թե ամերիկական։
American.
Oh,
American rockets are better.
he'll get into trouble, yes? It's a pity she's too young to have a toy.
They have one for her.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh.
Have it for her.
So the people in Wales who gave toys to your British gas appeal, they can be happy sitting at home watching that the toys really got to the
They
children.
can rest assured that there's some very happy children thanks to their efforts.
Ուզունի որ մի փոքր ավելի ուրախ կլինեք։ Thank you on behalf of everybody. Thank you to you.
Thank you to all of you.
And to people and to children who are thinking about Armenian children. Thank you.
And tomorrow night on Wales at 6, we meet the boy who only survived the earthquake because he was sent out of class for misbehaving. Playing happily in the street with his new radio-controlled car, 9-year-old Khazarian Armen still bears the scars of injuries received in the Armenian earthquake. Yet his escape from death is one of incredible irony. Quite frankly, he lived because he was thrown out of class for misbehaving. Now he's just returned home after receiving medical treatment in the United States.
This boy was very seriously injured. He was in school, and he was, as some boys get, he was a little naughty. And the teacher put him outside the class. And when the earthquake came, he was the only one in his school of 450 to survive.
The only one out of 450?
450, and he was very seriously injured. We brought him into on our airlift on February 4th in the stretcher. They suspected spinal damage. He did not have any spinal damage as it ended up. But he was ended up they put a brace on his left leg. He is now walking without the brace. And he had skin grafts on both sides of his head. And this boy was fortunate. I mean, look at the smile on his face today. He's now a movie star. He got those glasses because all movie stars wear sunglasses.
And in a story dramatic enough to have come straight out of Hollywood, here in a mountain village, a farmer tells how he struggled all day with his bare hands to rescue his 11-year-old daughter from the ruins of another devastated school.
Землетрясение произошло, я побежал в школу.
When the first wave came, he rushed to school first, and he found that school has collapsed completely and there is only roof and nothing else. They started to look for children, and everybody was trying to find his own child, and it was very difficult because they had no equipment, and they were using their hands only and nothing else. And it took him 11 hours to get his daughter from under the panel because she got stuck between her hand was left under the panel, and he had to break the chair she was sitting on in order to get her out. And
so he had to smash the chair she'd been sitting on in school.
yeah, he managed to sleep under the panel, and he managed to break the chair in order to get her. And a lot of people, they were doing just the same because there was there were no cranes and nothing.
I bet he thought that was the best 11 hours work he's ever done.
Да.
Yeah.
Я плакал и работал, потому что техники не было, руками все делали.
He was crying and working, and there was nothing left but to work and to save children.
And tomorrow night on Wales at 6, we see some of the links being forged between Welsh and Armenian school children following the earthquake.
Here is my house, here is my garden.
Ага, а это мой дом с моим садиком.
Among the ruins of their devastated homes, it's hard for Armenians to think of the future while still trying to cope with the desperate struggle for day-to-day survival. But Paul and Jane Smith, who'd organised the shipment of toys from Wales, were thinking about longer-term links between the two countries. And here, the children of Wales, who'd given up their toys so willingly, came to their aid again, with messages of hope and friendship. Here, the Swansea pupils watch their contribution being handed over in Armenia to a girl who was rescued from the ruins of her school, which was destroyed in the earthquake.
To you all, with love from St. Joseph's School, Swansea, Wales.
Вам всем с любовью от школы Святого Джозефа, Свонзи, Уэльс.
This is the lorry going to Armenia, and they're waving goodbye to the lorry that takes the toys to you. There's a doll, a bear, a pony, with love from Hannah.
Это вот куколку она нарисовала, это медвежонок, а это маленькая пони. С большой любовью от Анны. Это Анна, а это машина, которая здесь.
With lots of love from Stacy. And there they are.
А вот это вот все
All
ребятишки,
saying hello.
которые все передают тебе привет. Thank you very much.
This for you.
И этот альбом для тебя. Будешь писать им письма? Will you write letters?
Да.
Yeah. She'll write
She'll write
letters.
And they will write to you.
А они будут писать тебе. Хорошо?
Да.
Thank you.
Do you think it's nice that they're going to write to you here in Swansea?
Yeah. I'll write back to them.
What toys did you give?
$3 and a pram.
You gave your baby sisters 2 dolls?
Yeah.
Did she mind, do you think?
She never saw me.
So she's still looking for them, is she?
Yeah.
I think they appreciated seeing their book actually being given out in this Armenian village.
Yes, yeah. I mean, to me, it's amazing to see it, and I don't know how a child can conceive of that happening. But it obviously made it, watching their faces, it made a great impression on me. There was one little girl who had a teddy bear, which was her very favourite teddy bear, and she spent about 3 days deciding whether she was actually going to part with this teddy bear. And in the end, she did. Marvellous.
So that was quite a sacrifice, really, then?
It really was, yes, yes. But now she's seen it on the screen, and she knows that it's arrived and it's being loved in another country, so that's all right.
And tomorrow night on Wales at 6, in our final report from Armenia, we see how people are picking up the pieces of their shattered lives, and hear how the Welsh toys are helping.
Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle raged high.
At first glance, our al fresco lunch under the apple blossom seems a world away from the devastation all around. But the Armenians are a proud people, and although this family had lost their home in the disaster and are now living in a tent, they insisted on sharing everything they had with the visitors from Wales.
I was quite amazed, to be honest, at how well they responded to us out there. They did respond very well to efforts from the West, and we were greeted very well everywhere we went. There are problems there, and medical help is at hand to try and ease the stress and the traumas that these children are going to be facing and the nightmares. And I think only time will heal now.
And in some small way, the toys helped.
Помогает и в какой-то степени организует,
The most important thing
веселит,
that
а это им
when
совершенно необходимо.
they receive this toy, they are in high spirits and it helps them to recover. And it is very important in psychology, from psychological point of view, that they feel they are cared for, and people from all over the world, they think about them and sending toys. And as now, for instance, they are very glad to receive toys from Wales, and I don't know, she thinks that it will just, it makes their life easier and happier.
Not all the Welsh toys were handed out during the week we were in Armenia. Some, like these larger items, were given to the Armenian Red Cross in Leninakan for distribution to schools and nurseries as and when they're needed. And a sackful for this rehabilitation centre.
Please accept these toys on behalf of the children of Wales. When you've got children that have lost everything and they're suffering from depression and these traumas, then to have no toys as well is just about the end of the line. At least we gave them a little bit of hope and a little bit of help.